whenever he's depicted as calm, pleased, or happy, his mouth is closed too.
Who's that?
Jesus.
All right, Suzanne, we have another topic. It's an interesting one. You want to talk about grinning for pictures?
Yes. I'm sure numberless people know what it's like to be set up for some formal picture and be told, come on, smile, look into the camera and smile, say cheese. And then the photographer uses this blinding flash bulb. Well, that startled me greatly when I was a little girl, so that just about all the time I was growing up, even after I matured, people would still take pictures with flash bulbs, and the stress showed on my face when the people taking the pictures would say, "Go on, smile, say cheese." They didn't think that you looked presentable enough unless you were grinning like the Cheshire Cat. Why must people grin?
I don't know, Suzanne. That's a good question. I like to cry in pictures, so I usually like to cry in my pictures. It's a joke. I don't cry.
So when I was in a group and had my picture taken and I had to smile, and they were using a blinding flash bulb, I would be squinting or tilting my head away, or my eyes were partly closed, or and then the people taking the pictures would holler and scream.
Yeah, I don't think people understood, because you have a sensitivity to bright light and loud sounds. So that is part of, like, somebody's, I guess, could have issues with that, and I think you have.
Because a lot of pictures taken in high school were of some of the different clubs. Now those pictures were taken outside in broad daylight, and still the photographer used flash bulbs.
Yeah, to freeze the action. In order to freeze the action. And sometimes to overpower the backlight. There's a reason why they do it. The problem is that some people, like yourself, are highly sensitive to bright light, flashes of light, and sounds, like explosion sounds.
Yes.
So because of that, you react to it much differently than most people.
Well, see, this light doesn't bother me because
it's a steady light.
Because it's constant.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm saying.
It's not all over in a fraction of a second.
Right. It's that you're one of those people that have high sensitivity to bright light, flashes of light, as well as the loud sounds.
Yeah, but the people who took my pictures and saw the contradictory results were not tolerant at all.
Yeah, they didn't know about it, especially when
sometimes I would explain it to them, but they didn't care.
Well, that's possible. It's also possible that back then, when you were a kid, people didn't know about these things. It wasn't as widely understood, let's say.
Because one Christmas that I'm thinking of, my father insisted on taking a picture of two of my brothers and me sitting on the ledge of a fireplace, and he was going to use a flash bulb. I said, "Dad, please, no, get over there."
Well,
now you better smile. 1, 2, 3, click. I made sure to turn my head away so that I wouldn't get the full impact in my eyes, and Dad never forgave me for it.
Because once he developed the photos, he saw you turn around. So does this strike you as ironic that somebody might threaten you and say, You better smile in a picture, or I'm gonna beat you up
Well,
or smack you.
they certainly. Well, they beat me up verbally. They,
Yeah, I know.
you know, they scolded and yelled um, and denounced me in front of the whole assembly.
Yeah. So I guess because people want everyone smiling in the pictures. Now I don't know why that is.
Well, it just doesn't look natural.
No.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think there's a trend towards maybe being a little more serious, at least in solo pictures. But yeah, in group shots, everybody likes you to cheese.
and why do you think they say cheese? Why not like pastrami?
They say that making you say cheese exposes your teeth so that you get a Cheshire cat grin.
No. Maybe that's not the best look for everybody.
Yeah, because I remember some dental care commercials when I was a teenager. The ones I'm thinking of were animated. It showed, one commercial started showing a 6-year-old child missing a front tooth. And then next to him was a teenager who also had a front tooth missing. Cute at 6, but not at 16. And they
Yes.
and when they said a teenager shouldn't lose any, again they showed the teenager missing a front tooth.
Cozy.
Now I've had some teeth extracted from time to time during my life, but they were always at the end or in the middle, so that my front teeth were still presentable.
Right. Well, it's hard if you're missing a tooth in the front. You have to figure out how to get a new one, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I also remember there was an example that I saw of a photograph of a real person who was missing a front tooth in one of the Gemini space flights. When they came back, the two astronauts were standing next to each other. They had their pictures taken. You saw only the faces close up. They were told to smile, and one of them had a front tooth missing.
You think he lost it in space? Did he lose it in space?
I doubt it.
I think he went into space with a missing tooth.
Yes.
Or maybe.
And then when they came back, they were told to smile, told to grin.
You remember the show Lost in Space?
The what?
Remember the TV show Lost in Space? Lost in Space, the TV
Lost in
show.
Space. I remember it, but I never watched it.
Honestly, space is one of the few places you can go and there's no penalty for not having teeth because you eat all that. Like, everything is, because they don't want it to float away, everything is basically pureed and you eat baby food,
Well,
more or less.
It would be terrible to end up in a space station and suffer from a tooth problem, because what are you going to do? You can't fix it.
That's true.
You've been paying for...
So you're saying you might as well have them knocked out before you go.
I don't know what the solution is, but imagine if you have a terrible toothache in the space station, no dentist, what are you going to drill your own? I mean, that's got to be
Yeah.
tough. But that's funny. I should look that up, see why the person have a missing tooth.
Yeah, I'm curious about that now.
Maybe they have to extract it because there was a issue with it, and they figure it's quicker before it goes up.
Yeah.
Making people look deliriously happy when they have a flashbulb flashed in their eyes is just inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can give the red eye and everything.
That's why the mugshots look so bad.
Because I look at the pictures of my classmates in the high school yearbook. There were half of them whose mouths were in neutral positions. There was one girl, she wasn't grinning.
Yeah. Is that a Mona Lisa smile?
Yes. Far too many people think that a Cheshire Cat grin is the only correct picture look. And in doing so, they forget all about the Mona Lisa smile. Probably the most famous smile in all art history. She's there. So, and then they ask, well, what is she smiling about? But they're not saying, why didn't she show her teeth?
So maybe you should have done that. Go with the Mona Lisa smile, and then
I tried to a number of times, but the people taking the pictures still insisted on having my mouth partly open or grinning.
Did you mention Mona Lisa? Did you mention Mona Lisa?
Yes.
And what was the response?
They didn't care.
Well, they should have told them I don't care either. Well, all right. So what should we do then? What's the solution?
There's one other person I want to emphasize. Well, there were no cameras in his times, but his face has been reproduced numberless times in art, and yet whenever he's depicted as calm, pleased, or happy, his mouth is closed too.
Who's that?
Jesus.
Okay. It could have been Buddha too. Could have been Buddha too.
Yeah, I think Buddha's like that as well.
He doesn't really smile that much.
But he smiled.
Yeah, a little bit.
He doesn't open his mouth. Definitely.
So those are the examples that you would prefer when taking a picture, rather than a Cheshire Cat.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It gets worse because some cameras you can set so that only when everyone is smiling, it will take the picture. So you can press
There's no flash.
You take press the button. I don't know if it has to do with the flash.
I see many cameras like that when I'm engaged in parades.
Well, in parades, you're also outside. If it's daytime, you don't really need a flash. Usually.
Using flash bulbs in broad daylight is unnecessary.
Sometimes you do need it. Yep. There's reasons when photographers do need to use a strobe versus not, but those are not conditions that are often present. Sometimes it's cloudy or the light's coming from the back. You might want to fill in the light, otherwise it comes a silhouette. But most of the time, you're correct. You don't need it. All right. So what's the lesson from this? Don't smile like a Cheshire Cat.
Don't. I'd say to the people who are taking the pictures, don't subject your don't make your subjects undergo unnecessary stress because you think only a certain facial expression is right. You have to remember that the flash bulb, because it's a split second, doesn't allow the people to adjust their eyes to it.
Good. So I would agree with you. I think more natural look is better.
Yes.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, thank you for another public service announcement, a helpful hint to the future parents of America. Yes.
Future photographers.
Don't
influencers too.
Don't torture your children with silly smile pictures, right? Thank you, Suzanne.
Oh, you're welcome.